Marth, we are back, and today we're talking about resilience in chaos, thriving when it hits the fan. Bloody
Let's
hell.
do it.
So I guess like navigating challenges, uncertainty. How you came to Co-Break after our biggest period of challenge and uncertainty, but you've been here through another one. So,
Yeah, maybe it's me.
no, I mean, I don't think you caused COVID. My friend Nev was patient zero.
Everyone has a friend who's patient zero.
Nev went to that Liverpool. No, he did. Where did he go? No, he went to Barcelona just before it hit Britain, and then he came to that Liverpool game where everyone got really ill, and so I always say my friend Nev is patient zero.
Super. Never.
Because me and him were like proper ill before they even announced it was in the country. Like all the symptoms before they told us what the symptoms were even. And I've never had a cold like it. I've never been the same since, to be honest. Patient zero. But yeah, no, the reason we mention COVID is because when COVID hit, basically Boris went on telly. I don't know if you guys remember. We've talked about this on the podcast before, but Boris went on telly and he was like, please stay at home. Like, and about a week before that, he said like there might be a lockdown, and then he said please stay at home.
I can't even. How was like when someone's saying we're gonna have like? How did even anyone know what a lockdown
Do you want the honest
It didn't
truth?
exist in my vocabulary.
So, I'll just tell the truth. So, the TV footage at the time was lots of people in China dying in the street, and lots of people in Italy like looked like corpse bags in the street. Which I don't know how true that was in hindsight, but that's what we were being shown, and I don't know whether it was propaganda to get us to comply or whether it really was. But that's what we all thought. This is fucking bad. And I remember we announced the lockdown and said we're going to stay at home, and they were talking about 3 months at the time. But I was like, sounds fucking
That's a
bad.
long time.
And I rang my mum and I cried, but not like, oh shit, I might not see you for 3 months. It's like, oh shit, the next time I see my family, some of us might be dead. And like, that's fucking dark, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
because I appreciate, like, you would have been in your early 20s.
Yeah, I wasn't even in the country. Like I didn't experience any of that.
Yeah, so it just, and like, if I was in my early 20s, you feel indestructible. It just goes over your head. But when you're in your mid 30s and it happens, and you've got elderly relatives, and you know your parents are in their 50s and 60s and stuff like that, you actually think, fuck, like this could be,
Catastrophic.
yeah, this could be horrific. Like the next time we have Christmas dinner, there could be a few faces missing. And in my case, that was what happened. But the next day coming to work, because the lockdown hadn't started yet, and we lost like 80% of our clients in 48 hours. Like, the recurring revenue in the business was just cut to something that just didn't cover the cost of the bills. And then the next thing you hear is that because we were a relatively new company, particularly our payroll was new because we'd merged from other companies, that we didn't qualify for furlough when they announced that. I was like, how on earth are we going to do this? Because I don't want to make people redundant. Like, they're going through hell as well. Like, people have relatives in hospital and stuff. It wasn't like, well, imagine someone saying, oh yeah, my granddad's on a ventilator. Oh, well, I'm ever so sorry, but you're also sacked.
Yeah.
Like, it was a lot. It was the most challenging period in business, and I know I'm not the only one saying this. I'm not asking for sympathy, but it was a lot. And then once the dust had settled, so I mean, we didn't have time for the dust to settle really. So give it a couple of days. I just went, right, what the fuck can I do? What can I control? What can I do right now to make this better? And like in Co-Break's case, like Andy at the time, we wrote a book, made a big difference. We started approaching people far outside of our normal field. So our geography was pretty much Shropshire and surrounds, and it became worldwide. We shifted even more toward digital marketing than we were before. We used to do a lot of offline, but did way more online, and just dug in.
Well, COVID was the time to have an ecom business. Like,
Well, you say that, but we tried to flex to being a marketing agency for ecom to an extent, and the problem was that the ecom businesses that were massively successful through COVID were all new, It wasn't the established ones. The established ones were all having the same problems because they got warehouses and staff and overheads. It was these ones that quickly realised they could drop ship and like
And
be
didn't
really
have any staff.
flexible, no overheads, no staff, and so they didn't have marketing budgets. They were new.
They didn't need it.
But no, they would literally, it was like people bloody breaking plates on TikTok and then selling smashed plates and just like it was bananas. People were buying. And then we had that spell where a lot of people had got furlough and the weather was amazing. And so they were buying all sorts because they had nothing else to do. So all these like random things were becoming really popular on TikTok and Instagram to buy. And us as a marketing agency were like,
how can you market
is marketing dead? Like, like where do we go? And like that period for me, that taught me a huge amount of resilience. It didn't feel like it at the time. It just felt like I was getting punched in the face every day. But it taught me like, it doesn't matter how bad it gets, there's always someone worse off. I guess that's an important one. But also like a real sense of perspective, because my granddad passed away during COVID, not from COVID, but he couldn't have his usual treatments, which meant that he passed away from complications with his conditions, because you just couldn't. Like the community ambulance couldn't take him, and you couldn't. It was complicated, and when something like that happens in your family, you realise that like a lot of stuff doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And it's not that it doesn't matter, it just doesn't matter as much as you think it does. And so then resilience becomes like, I've talked about it on the podcast before, I'm not going to get into it now, but I've been through some shit, so I'm a fairly resilient character. Like, I would describe myself as like, if we're about to get into some serious shit, I'm your guy. If I'm about to have a paper cut, not for me. No, thank you. I hate that kind of thing. Like if I stub my toe, useless to you. If someone's gonna like start shooting at me and we're going for it, I'm in. It's like I'm because of my upbringing, because of what I've come through, I'm very resilient in difficult scenarios. I'm not great in the like easy ones.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm more resilient in the morning than I am in the afternoon.
It's fair. It's fair. I think I am, because I have a lot more willpower until about 3 o'clock.
I'm like the best person until my lunch. And then I'm
struggling today.
I'm
I
back.
beefy
And,
boys today.
I had some like, your coffee is like, look at me. I'm like, oh,
I'm gonna have
it's
one
changed
in a
my
minute.
life.
It's good, isn't it?
The nootropics. Is that what
London
it's called?
Nootropic coffee. Yeah.
Is nootropics the like thing, or is nootropics the brand?
Nootropics is, well, they're called London Nootropics, but nootropics is like natural things that can give you like a brain boost or an energy boost or
It's a supplement then.
focus. Yeah, it's a supplement, but natural.
What's James Smith's? Is that called nootropics? As well?
Neutronic. I think.
Oh, see, it's all.
But that is a nootropic.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's James and Chris's. I get free cans of that when I go to Paul's.
Yeah.
It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never had that. I've heard good things though.
Yeah, it's the same effect as the coffee.
Well, because I was like, oh, it won't work for me, but I am
I was
more resilient today.
I mean, Martha saw me take mushrooms in Barcelona and they didn't do anything. But
yeah, Mum, by the way, who listens to this podcast, it was not me who's doing the psychedelics.
No, Martha was just really drunk.
I just had 10 margaritas.
Yeah. Yeah, they didn't touch me, but I can have one of those nootropic coffees and it gives me real focus. It's really interesting, isn't it? But
yeah, I feel really focused. I'm really resilient right now.
Good.
Back
So
to it.
where would you say, like, in a general work day, you need to have resilience? When I'm on the warpath.
So I'm really good at doing this for other people, but not for myself. Is like finding the positive, and I think a lot of that, like marketing in general, like is a lot of it is trialing stuff, new stuff. People are getting used to the stuff that's constantly on their screen, so you've got to give something a go. And there is always a good side of, okay, so you didn't get the amount of leads that you wanted, but you still made 10 sales.
Yeah.
Like, so we've got something to work with. Or like you did a live webinar and only 3 people showed up, but all 3 brought. So we've got something to work with. Or like there was an issue with your link or your emails aren't sounding properly or whatever it is. I think I'm good at flipping that for clients, but when it's me, I can't see the wood from the trees. I'm like, why is that for
So like, say like, let's go with an obvious example. When you moved into your new house,
Yeah.
the boiler didn't work. What was that like to deal with?
Well, I just buried it and pretended it wasn't happening, and then
Did do
built
a
up
fucking good job.
£4,000 heating bill, something ridiculous like that.
Heating or water bill?
Electric.
You had a massive water bill at one point as well.
Yeah.
Is that from the same thing?
Yeah. So I just passed that off to I delegated that one. Do what you do best, delegate the rest. That one was a delegation.
But in terms of like how you manage that in your head, how do you make sure that you don't lose your shit?
Gratitude.
Yeah, that's good.
I've got a roof over my head. I'm not hungry. I'm not cold because it was summer at the time. I'm fucking cold when I'm in the shower, but like I'm still clean.
I write down 5 things I'm grateful for every day.
It really puts things into perspective. Like as we were just saying in the last podcast, we definitely don't film these back to back. But like I've lost the train of thought. So
puts things into perspective. Gratitude. Writing down 5 pieces. Gone.
that would have been such a good clip as well. I was on such a roll there.
Yeah, now it's shit.
The mushrooms are wearing off.
Yeah,
The
so
neutronics.
gratitude
it's
for me, it's not about being woo woo. Honestly, I don't know if you listened to the last episode, but there was people shouting outside our office when we're recording.
Great.
They're ignoring me.
They're here tomorrow. Great. And gratitude.
What am I grateful for? I'm grateful for having a roof
Amazing
over my head.
Equipment that picks up all the sound.
Yeah, lovely microphones.
Lovely office.
They have actually
Great
shut.
team.
They have actually shut up now. Interesting. Right. Yeah. So it's not in a woo-woo sense. It's that whole like being able to see the wood for the trees, because human nature, because you're trying to get away from danger, you're trying to get away from trouble, is if something bad's happening, that's the thing you'll focus on. But it could be that one bad thing's happened in a day and 100 good things have happened. And so just by writing down the 5 things you're most grateful for, or your 5 biggest wins that day, you shift your focus. And it gives the impression to people away from you that you're more resilient than you are. It's not resilience, it's focus shift. And I think like I'm really good at that now, and I never used to be. That like people know if I'm pissed off, but it doesn't consume my day. I mean, like I can only think of one example in the last month where something consumed me, and I think it caught me at the end of the week after we'd just been to Barcelona. So I was knackered anyway.
And then I was being the motivational.
Yeah, you were just silver linings. I think my reply was, well, actually, I texted Martha because she'd posted a picture of her drinking wine, and I texted Martha saying, "Can I have some wine? Because I'm fucking raging." And she replied like with all the things I should be grateful for from the situation, and I replied, "I just want wine,"
which was fair.
But
a great one, I think, especially in business, is like, is this going to matter to me like in 5 months' time? Because if this doesn't matter in 5 months' time, there's no point worrying about it now. Like I think an energy zap, something that zaps your energy, can impact your work and your business so much because your focus is just in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great one to be like, because even I had this the other day, like I thought, oh, maybe I've sent this message and the person has taken it the wrong way and they're going to think I'm a dick. I'm like, are they going to think I'm a dick in 5 months' time? No. So why am I even worried about it? Because they think I'm a dick right now, they think I'm a dick. It's fine.
That's a big one, like that whole like worrying what other people will think and allowing it to chip away at your focus and therefore making you feel less resilient, when actually 9 out of 10 people couldn't give a shit. They're literally, you are not the main character in their story.
Yeah, someone said that to me the other day, like, stop acting like you're the main character all the time. I was like, ouch. But it's true, like, you're not. You're not the main character of their story. You're probably not even the side character.
Yeah, literally.
You've got a cameo.
If you think about the people who are the main characters in your story and then try and see it from someone else's perspective, you're probably not even on the map. You're not making it into the fucking book.
You are not a
Like,
Phoebe. You're not a Monica.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're not even the coffee guy.
And the few people where you are making it into their book, well, you can probably say to them when you're struggling, like it's okay. Or you can probably say to them, look, what do you think this outfit looks like on me? I'm a bit worried about it. And because they're in your circle of trust, it'll be all right. If you're worrying about what people are going to think of you at a party full of people who you're never going to see again, you need to practice some ways of shifting your focus.
Yeah.
So I guess like typical ways for business owners where the shit might hit the fan. The big one, everyone listening will relate to this straight away, is like when your biggest client gives notice, or your biggest customer stops ordering. And like we've had this before, like that sinking feeling of like, fucking hell, that's a big hole to plug. And every business coach in the land says, well, you shouldn't have more than a third of your revenue in one client. It's like, yeah, but you're not going to say no to someone that's offering you all that money.
It doesn't always work like that, does it?
Yeah. So like, if the world was perfect, of course you wouldn't. But sometimes shit happens. So the way I deal with that now, and like, we have clients who are really successful and decide to hand their notice in. We have clients who decide it's not for them. Like, it's not, it happens to us all. Is I don't focus on the amount of money we've just lost that we never had anyway. If you think about it, that never got paid to us in the first place. I focus on how much time we've just released to go after new ones.
Yeah.
And that shift is massive. I think to the team, it probably makes me seem very resilient to loss. But of course it hurts. But it's like, you have to have a level of self-belief that you can go and fill that gap and exceed it.
We were having this conversation in Barcelona, weren't we, with a lot of like very, very successful, mostly coaches, but also other businesses. And it's that mindset of like, okay, well, how am I going to make that money back? Or like, I'm going to invest in this because I'm so confident I can make it back. Or how am I going to make it back?
Yeah.
And that has just like taken their business tenfold.
So I've like just been sat with my mum. So it's my, like, as we're recording, it's my stepdad's 60th birthday today. So I took them for lunch. And my mum's auntie passed away a couple of months ago. And there's a small inheritance coming to my mum, her sister, and her two brothers. In the scheme of things, and some families not a huge amount, but to them, enough money that it matters, let's say. And I immediately said to my mum, you should invest it. Like, even if you just do Moneybox or Plum or one of these things that you can self-manage, I was like, that's enough money that if it compounds, you could just draw the profit each year and make a significant difference to your life. And it was like I was talking an alien language. And I find that like really interesting that like as a business owner or an entrepreneur, I'm always thinking about how I can not just like make more money or do a better job, but also how I can make life easier so I've got more time to do a better job. So if I can like park 10 grand somewhere and that 10 grand will produce its own income, in my mind, that's a wise move, where I think a lot of people who aren't business owners go, what can I spend that on?
Yeah. Or it's already spent.
Yeah. So mum was talking about one of her brothers and she said, oh, he's already spent it. Like in his head, he's buying a new house. He's getting a van. Not buying the house outright. It's not that much money, but it's already spent. And I was like, I think you should take some advice, Mum. I think you should speak to someone who knows how to handle money because. And she'd like to go on a cruise because she's never been on a cruise. I think that's probably a good use of the money. But the rest, why wouldn't you sort of
do the heavy lifting for you?
And then like. That's where, so like I've had investments since my mid-20s, I'm 37 now, but when something like COVID happens, or when you need to buy your business partner out, or when a big client leaves, it's a little bit easier for me to go, well, it's going to be okay, because I've created
safety net,
a cushion, yeah. And then coupled with that, I have that self-belief of if 1 month I'm not able to pay myself, I will get paid double the following month because fucking watch me.
Yeah.
And it's not arrogance. It's like, I think business owners are like the most insecure yet most self-assured people on the planet. It's like a combination of always feeling like you need to prove your worth, and at the same time knowing you can do it. It's a really weird pair of characteristics that I think you only really see it in business owners and athletes.
And like knowing that there's something better out there, like knowing there's got to be something more.
Yeah, not accepting your place in society. Yeah, that a lot of my resilience comes from that. Of like, I watched my parents struggle, and fuck me, did they struggle? But they really wanted to make life good for me and my brother, and couldn't always. And in my head, I was like, why are you doing it this way? Like, all your efforts are about working harder, not working smarter. And they were smart people, but I was like, you don't have to graft it. There's got to be a better way. Like now, most days I come to work and I really enjoy my job, and I go home and I'm tired, but it's fulfilling. Well, like, my mum and dad used to grind themselves down to the bone, and they come home and like the quality of life was shit.
I was having this conversation with my mum about like getting her in, like she like hates her job. It's boring. She's a very smart lady, but she was
She
like,
listens, remember?
"Hi, mum," but she's like, "Yeah, but I get to go on holiday when I want to." But I was like, "Yeah, but you're looking at it the wrong way. Like you should enjoy your work, and then the holidays don't matter as much. Like you need to flip that. Like you're working 80% of the time. Your holidays are 20%."
Hannah, my wife, struggles with that. Struggles with the idea that I'm not as excited about holidays as I should be, because I enjoy every day.
I love coming back after a holiday. I'm itching.
Honestly, like, not. I come in the morning and saying hello to you guys is like one of the best parts of my day.
Ah.
Because it's like, fucking hell, like, look at what we've built together. Yeah. Like, this is epic. And then, like, you never know what's going to happen. And so, you know, sometimes it's hard, and you do have to have a level of resilience, but like, I've got a huge amount of gratitude for just the environment that we're in, and like what we're helping each other do. And
so I think for me, I've got you as like my mentor, you and Neil as like my mentors who are there to coach me. My mum always says when I come back from like a business trip, I'm like so positive, built up, like ready to go. Surrounding myself with people and who are very, very successful people. Like sometimes I sit on this podcast and I think I am not qualified to be here because I don't have a business, and like why would anybody listen to what I have to say?
You work with hundreds of businesses.
See, it's a mindset thing, right? But when I'm around everybody and I'm like, wow, it's so successful, and everything they say is like, oh, we've got a problem. Like somebody's suitcase was too big. I was like, just buy another one. Like, do you want to know, which didn't work in the end, but it was a solution.
Yeah. Do you want to know something that I bet you've noticed, but you would never say? As you've sat in rooms now with people who generally people would consider very successful people, and I bet you felt like, I can hold my own with these people.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, it's just being in the room with the people. And so I guess my point with this was like, people who have coaches or mentors, like whether that's a business coach, a mindset coach, even a therapist to a certain extent, like I can see how it feels difficult to invest in that at the time. But like the growth I've seen, even people who we were with in Barcelona from like when they started to where they are now.
There's people that we were with in Barcelona who were doing like $2,000 a month, which is, you know, nothing to be ashamed of, who are now doing 50 grand months in a solo business.
Yeah, on their own, which is mad. And so if like maybe you're listening to this and you're like all sounds great, but like I'm just not there, and I don't know how to get there mindset wise, like find a coach
or a mentor. Like, you'd have to pay for it. Like, my dad was an apprentice and his life hasn't worked out for the best. But I remember once he finished his apprenticeship and he's a carpenter and joiner, there's always like a couple of old guys on the building sites, and they always had like a lot to share. And he would come home and relay some of that information. I'd be like, you know, everyone can find a sage, like somewhat like an old sage. You can just like impart a bit of life wisdom, and unlock a few things for you. And like nowadays as well, like you could even make one if you wanted to with AI. Like I just would really like to have someone who I can talk to about deep things that I don't normally get to talk to. And you can just have a conversation with the AI, but like just allowing yourself to process those things and like build resilience through practice. So like when you see someone like a carpenter joiner is a great example. You see someone create a beautiful bookcase. Fucking hell, how the hell did you learn how to do that? Well, you should have seen the first 20 I made.
Yeah.
But I kept going. I kept trying. I kept making the mistakes. And same in business, same in sport, same at school, same in a job. Like the people who are willing to fail the most would be the ones that build up the most resilience, will continue with the most persistence and find the route to success. And success is whatever it is to you as the person. So like, you know, we've mentioned here, we've gone to Barcelona and there's a lot of people making a lot of money. That isn't personally for me my success marker. But there was a couple of people in that room that were also really happy.
Who's like brought their wife into the business, like their wife doesn't have to
Traveling
work
around
anymore.
the world with their baby, and
yeah, their dad hated their job. He's in the business now. Like it's
yeah, they're able to like donate to their local community. They do charity work. They volunteer. They seen the world. Their kids are able to have nice things. Like whatever it is that they're just a good person. Like whatever your measure of success is, it's gonna have to come with some resilience to have it, to want it, to get it, because you've got to be willing that you might fail the first few times, and without resilience, you'll give up. And so if you say like, I mean, like a really stupid example, after I took over the business from Andy, I promised myself once I got over the debt of having to buy him out that I'd get a sleeve tattoo, and I thought it was going to take a lot longer than it did. Not the tattoo, to get past the debt. And so I'm 2/3 of the way through it now, and I am fucking hating life. Like that last session was horrendous.
that was a big session.
It's a brutal tattoo, yeah. But I'm going to finish it off. I'm not going to quit now because I want the full thing. And like that is a really shit analogy for how you should approach everything.
The metaphor is Joel's tattoo.
So what do you do to sort of practice resilience?
I have I was actually, this is going to be a podcast topic I'm going to do actually, is I have a note on my phone called advice not to fall on deaf ears.
Yeah.
And if I'm having a wobble day, shall we say, which does happen to
Less
everyone.
frequently.
Less frequently, yeah. But still, when I wobble hard. But I'm still 100% in, 110% in what I'm doing. But sometimes I'm like, because I'm so emotionally invested and I really want the result for clients. Like less care about myself really. It's like I want this to work for them.
Yeah.
But it's like I think I'm up to maybe like 30 bullet points now of like stuff that it's like, oh fuck, like that's so true. Like, is it gonna matter tomorrow? Like I approach everything with love, and so if somebody takes that the wrong way, that's kind of on them. Like I know I'm coming from a good place. But when I'm having like a, oh my god, everybody hates me day. Oh my god, what did I say in that bar last night?
You should have had a few of those lately.
So that's a really good one for me. Like I know like how important journaling is. I listen to a lot of podcasts about it. I'm not there yet. This is like my little stepping stone to the full, because I'm like, I'm too busy. I'm not. Like you can always make time, but that one is really, really good for me.
But your notes on your phone aren't far off.
Yeah, I guess it's just
just modern, aren't you?
I'm just young.
Yeah, because it's like, for me, like the Simon Sinek book, Start With Why, when I start to feel like I'm crumbling, I have to go back to my purpose and remember why I'm doing it. And sometimes you've completely lost sight of that and it's a long way back. But if I can visualize why I'm doing it, like one of the key things I really wanted in the next 5 years was to take my wife to Borneo because it's on a bucket list. It might sound really materialistic or weird to people, but we want to go do some conservation work there. Orangutans are on my bucket list, to be fair, and Borneo's on hers. And she's actually been before, but she got dengue fever and had to stay in the hotel the whole time
Oh,
and nearly killed her. So that is a fucking strong why. When like I'm getting shit off a supplier or shit off a client or software's not working, like this morning the database on a WordPress wasn't working, and try as I might, it just kept fucking crashing. And Faye was knocking on my door saying, "Can you help me with this?" And I was meant to be in Shrewsbury going for a meal. And I'm like, fuck. Then you're like, yeah, but I'm going to Borneo in May, and I still got paid for it, so I better fucking, I better fucking get stuck in. And
here we go.
but like, and that's like a very kind of like experiential example. But like another one for me is I really want to have some community impact, and I won't be able to have the level of community impact I want to have unless I grow this to the size that I think I can. So when there's a pebble in my shoe or a paper cut or whatever, like, suck it up, Joel, because you've got bigger ideas. There's things you want to do. There's a couple of charities that
It's people who need you.
there's people that need me, and there's a team that need me, and like that really helps me reassess.
And reset.
Yeah, reset. And then like other simple things, so like remembering to breathe. You'll notice that when you're stressed, you've probably not taken a breath for a little while. Remembering to like relax your body, because you go very tense when you're stressed. Like lots of like things for appearing resilient come from learning good behaviours.
Have you heard of the you know when people like do that with their hand or something, and it's like you
I thought that was Illuminati.
channel the energy. You know, it's like something like being more powerful because you're like channeling. I don't know.
Sounds a bit woo for me.
Yeah, I think it is a bit weird. But someone was doing it to me the other day, and I was like, "Do you think you're better than me or something?"
It just looks like something Beyonce would do. I'm not in. She's a murderer. No.
Thank you, Beyonce.
Yeah. jokes. Don't kill me. So I guess like what would be your, if you were to say to someone, this is the one thing I do that helps me be more resilient every day? Because there'll be people in your life that have met you and gone, oh, like Martha's not resilient. She blows up at everything. Of course, like people like Ben Knight, one of our clients, I don't mind shouting him out, finds it hilarious when other people say what a laid back guy Joel is. He's just like, do they fucking know you?
Yeah. What, Joel?
Because he's seen me behind closed doors, and he's like, he knows I'm a resilient guy, but he's like, are they fucking having a laugh? Like, laid back.
That's
So
funny.
like, what would be like your number one tip for people?
For me, I just, it's just like, don't borrow tomorrow's problems today.
Oof. Where did that come from?
I pulled that
Is
from
that on
somewhere.
your notes?
Yeah. No, I really have to think about that because it might never happen, but you just got to run into the
So
storm
what kind
head
of
on.
things happen to you where you start borrowing problems from tomorrow?
What ifs? What if this doesn't work? What if we don't
What
hit
if it
this
does?
target?
Yeah.
What if it does? Is exactly what you have to. Is what you have to think. And like sometimes I fall into the trap of being like, oh, that's tomorrow's Martha's problem, but like in a bad way, and like I'm like gonna push
see,
this on
I've
tomorrow.
really flipped that because I used to have exactly the same problem. Like, don't borrow tomorrow's. I still sometimes have it, especially when I'm tired or hungry. Hungry Joel is an issue.
Oh,
But
I-
like, I actually flipped it so far now, and you've heard me say it, like, oh, future Joel will thank me for this. And so now I do things to make sure that tomorrow's problems are less likely to happen. And so rather than sitting there worrying about it, I do things that will make them less likely. And if they happen, they happen, but at least I've done everything I can.
What's your number one thing?
So I was going to say, like, feel the fear and do it anyway, but it's not true, because fear can be absolutely paralyzing.
Fear kills more dreams
Yeah.
than anything else.
And like, I do feel fear big time, and I am very good at running towards fear. But it's also not helpful advice to say to someone, oh, just because you're scared doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. There's plenty of examples of things you're scared of that you definitely shouldn't fucking do. So, like, I think for me, the way I can appear resilient is I take a step back and I write down all the good that can come from something and all the bad that can come from something. And then even the absolute worst scenarios, when I really try, the good list is always longer than the bad. like some pretty fucking horrible things have happened to me in my life, and more good has come from it than bad when I look at it on balance. And that doesn't mean I would want those things to happen again. It just means that I can create a perspective where it serves me better. And if you can do that, you can achieve some pretty wild things, even though you've got horrible shit happening around you.
If someone's done it once ever, you can do it too.
And if someone's never done it, you can do it too. That's the fun one. People will think you're insane, but that's where your resilience kicks in.